fellas, everybody looking good. By
I
the way.
like this.
I like it too.
This is right. This is right.
Fellas looking good.
Check
look
my
good.
pony. Check my pony.
Like, if you're gonna do it, let's do it right. That's it.
Welcome back for the first time.
First, like last time for the first time.
Welcome
You
back
guys are here for the first time. Welcome.
All right, we're gonna hit y'all with the first joint first. First topic of the day is poodles in the project.
All right, before we get to the topics, let's give everybody, the viewers, and let them know what's the name of our podcast before we start this off. Because we just can't start talking.
I feel you. Come on, let them know.
Without
So let them know what it
introducing
is.
the podcast.
Let them know what it is.
Everybody, this is 4400. If you're watching this, please subscribe. Click the button. We appreciate it.
For real. All right, first topic of the day. Poodles in the projects, the pros and cons of gentrification. Let's start this off with you, Mike. What are the pros and cons of gentrification?
All right. Honestly, you know what? Before we jump into the pros and cons for the viewing audience, I kind of want to define what gentrification is, or at least according to the Oxford Dictionary. The process by which a character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, and attracting new businesses, typically displacing the current inhabitants in the process. The second part of the definition says it is the process of making someone or something more refined, polite, or respectable. And before we jump into my views on that, I kind of wanted to give one statistic in terms of New York City. 2 years ago, New York City had a foreign-born rate of 38%. And foreign doesn't necessarily mean
Foreign-born rate.
not necessarily out of the country, but just outside of New York. So
Okay.
most of the people that are inhabitants of New York
Are not
within
New
the last
Yorkers.
few years are not born in New York or not native New Yorkers.
Okay. So you're from Buffalo.
No, I mean, yeah, potentially. If you want to say outside of New York City as a whole, yeah. But just outside of New York as a state. You could come from Albany, you could come from Syracuse, and you're still considered a New Yorker.
Might as well
If you
be
ask anybody outside of the 5 boroughs, maybe.
From
4.
Jersey.
We count Staten Island.
If you're
So-
lucky.
But in terms of gentrification, I think it's twofold. I think that gentrification definitely leads to better business opportunity, and I think it leads to safer neighborhoods. But the reason I say it's twofold is that the structure and the people that are there likely should have those things in place already. But because they're not there, once they have new money coming in, I feel like there's a literally invested interest to protect that new money as opposed to the people that have been there. So in terms of pros, I think it facilitates new business and it brings new money and potentially growth to a particular area. But for a con, I think it displaces people. I think it displaces the people that were already there, the people that kind of brought it to at least point B before they take it to point A and consider it something of value. There are people that have been working in those neighborhoods and lived in those neighborhoods
What you think about that?
that don't get their just due.
Me personally, I feel like this. If you don't appreciate it, don't be mad when somebody else do. You know? For too long, we live in the same neighborhoods. We all from the inner city. We all from these communities that impoverished, is not the best, growing up, we're not the best place to live. So if you don't appreciate it, don't be mad at the next person who comes in and appreciates the property that you have, the space that you're living in. And that's on you. You got to see the value in where you living. Because if you don't see the value and when someone else sees it, you can't be mad at them. You know what I mean? It's like you mad at somebody coming in and moving in and bettering the neighborhood, but when you had control of it, what did you do with it?
Devil's advocate. Do people even know like what they could do better? Because you come in and somebody go, you got like Miss Molly next door and she start sweeping the floors and doing stuff. You never seen that before. Only thing you've seen is a 6-block radius. So your vision of what is better is not, you're not open to that view yet.
But I want to say you got to be you're not open to the view. We all know what we want as people when we live where we live. We
I don't
all
think
know.
so.
I think
Sometimes you got to see better to know that you can achieve better.
yeah, that too. But at the end of the day, like we all know what our
the
neighborhoods
point is-
are suffering from. You understand what I'm saying? We all know that. But do us as a unit or as a people that's in these communities take the initiative actions to make sure that our community is better? And that's the problem. If we don't do it ourselves and we don't sit there, you can ask how many people know these city council members.
Ourselves are okay. So I'm gonna get deeper to that. Ourselves is a specific thing. If it's Hispanic people or Black people or
It
Jewish
doesn't-
people, I'm just saying. You like ourselves will be whatever that community is.
Whatever that
Neighborhood,
community,
people in that neighborhood.
That whoever's in that community, do you know your city council members
Yeah.
are?
Do you know your assemblyman? All
Do
that?
you,
Yeah,
do you
right.
know them?
Do you vote on a
Do-
local
we-
level
they-
instead of
and-
just for the president every 4 years?
And that's what it really boils down to.
Do you
If
even know who the person is?
Yeah.
You know what I
Do
mean?
you know
Like,
who's running for your city council?
and that's
Do you
why.
What you got, B?
participate?
This is New York City. It's a living organism. It's always going to be growing, changing. Everything is always going to be different. We got scaffolding, more scaffolding than anything because it's constantly changing. This is not the place where Miss Mary has been making your eggs for the last 23 years. They care that you got a new color belt in karate. That doesn't happen here. The meat packing district used to serve meat. The fashion industry, the fashion district used to have sewing factories.
But maybe
All
people
those-
cool with that. That's what I'm saying. Maybe people cool with the idea of just going to Poppy store and getting your Lucy's or eating your bacon, egg, and cheese. Maybe
But this
people
is
are
New York
comfortable
City.
with that.
No, so that's the thing. That this right here is New York City, but
And that's what-
gentrification happens all over, especially in major metropolitan neighborhoods. Hold on, let me get 100 real quick. And in terms of the that's probably my biggest argument is the displacement factor. So if you come in and you decide to fix up the house right next to mine,
Right.
my rent is $1,000, but now you put a glass door and you put some new sheetrock in, and that rent is $2,000. Now you're displacing those people because they can't afford to live
That's
in the
capitalism,
neighborhoods.
though, baby.
That's always going to be the case, but it's also a part of gentrification where they come in and they throw up a new facade on an ugly ass old building, and they might put an elevator attendant, and now the property value of what's right next to you goes up so high that you have to potentially move because the next round of people is coming in and buying that.
I'm gonna let Beaker
sub-property.
finish his thought before I get to the next joint. Beaker, finish your thought on that one.
Yeah, it's just that this is a growing city, and our attachment to these things, especially if it's not ownership based, will always be problematic. A lot of people are having these conversations about neighborhoods where there is no direct ownership, and it's like you're changing our community, and that's true. But you have to pull yourselves in a direction. What direction was this community going? Oh, it was fixed, it was done. Someone says, I'm gonna make some improvements to it because this is the city. If it was a more rural place, I'd understand it. But here in New York City, in this we have to
But
change.
since you touched on that, let me hit you with this one. Can there be integration without gentrification? Can you integrate other communities? Can there be a sub community
Yeah.
come in?
My favorite bodega of all time on Cooper and Broadway
Shout out to Cooper and Broadway.
Shout out to Cooper and Broadway.
I live right,
5-star deli.
right around the corner.
Right.
Right?
Get us free
They,
sandwiches. We appreciate it.
Thanks for looking out. Always cook with love. Right? So they opened up a second store where they sell honey butter and all that other stuff,
Right next door,
juicing
Frigo's Door,
and all
yeah.
that other stuff.
$6 jam.
And I still get my chopped cheese. And I still get my halal over rice.
Did the price go up on the chopped cheese
Yeah, it did.
from $2.50 to what?
It did.
To what? What is it about now? About
More.
$8?
More. Chopped cheese is more.
Gentrification
More than what I
cheese.
wanted to spend, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Chopped gentrification.
What do you think, Stu? Integration over gentrification?
I
Can you have an integration with gentrification?
You could. It just only thing that determines that is the people that's in there 1st.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the mindset of like, all right, so what is going on here? What are we doing for the better for our community? Or we just want to stay in the same place? And then two, I forgot when you made a point, ownership. Ownership is major. It's very important. And I think in the Black community, we don't put too much, emphasis on that ownership.
Well, I would say this in the Black community. I'd piggyback off you in the Black community. I would say this: when we buy stuff, we usually buy stuff outside of the community. All of us will live in Bed-Stuy, live in Brownsville, live wherever, or in the cities of Jersey or whatever,
Why?
and then buy because it's cheaper.
Is it?
Yeah.
But it's also the connotation that if I buy outside, then it's going to be what I expect. As
Is it-
opposed to sometimes buying within your neighborhood, it's like, damn, this shit might be might be a little less quality. But that's the connotation, not necessarily the facts.
But I say this too, like even when I was buying my crib, when I first started looking, I was looking in Brooklyn because I was a Brooklyn boy. I'm like, I want to live in Brooklyn. You start looking and you want to have nicer shit. You want to have jewelry, you want to have cars and shit like that. You ain't trying to have people punching your windows in, or you got to be nervous walking from the train station because that's a reality.
Yeah,
that's exactly why.
Yeah. You can
and that's
pay a lot of
exactly
money
why
and still be.
we get people who move from Manhattan, all these, what you said, non-natives that come in.
Yeah, foreign born.
All those people, they're paying a discount to live in those bad neighborhoods because we now hire them to call 911. No one was fulfilling those positions.
It was not coming
so
from me.
you get a discounted rate on your rent in order to make sure that you now clean up this community because we had a problem with cleaning it up.
That's why the title suffices, because if I said, yo, somebody just got shot in the projects, they not coming. But if I say, yo, somebody's choking a poodle in the projects, they know that Mary is in trouble and we gonna come.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think that they will come. The problem that you have is who's calling.
Yeah, that's why we hire them.
That's the problem. Because somebody coming, the problem is who calling them to come. The person be bleeding out on the sidewalk before somebody died 911. Hit on this topic real quick before we switch gears. Is affordable housing the reverse gentrification?
I personally do not see affordable housing as reverse gentrification, only because with gentrification, you're moving somebody who's more affluent into a neighborhood that is underserved. But when you're doing the reverse and you're busing school kids from the inner city out to these potentially private schools or schools that have a much lower black population, especially outside of the sports factor, they're not doing anything in terms of adjusting those kids' lives. And especially if you're making affordable housing, you're still poor. You're just poor with a lobby. You live in that building with those people that can afford that, but they're not putting you in the position to actually afford that. They're just making your rent lower. So I don't think that it's necessarily, it doesn't equate. It doesn't equate to gentrification moving in as opposed to taking folks and allowing them opportunity in a space that they normally couldn't afford because they still don't have the opportunities to afford it.
See, this is the double-edged advocate with that. Now, you get the affordable housing. You put you in these nice little high-rise buildings. Now, you get in there, every year, what's going to happen? The rent going to come. That's going to increase. So, eventually, before you know it, you're there for that particular time. It gives you a sense of fresh air.
Where else does that not happen? Why are we protecting these communities from prices?
Listen, let me finish what I'm saying.
You're right.
After a moment of time, you're there for 2 or 3 years, you got to move out because you're not making enough money to go along with the rent increase.
But isn't that the idea? See, I think that's what people get lost upon people. I'm going to let you get yours right now, but I think that's what get lost upon people because the comfort level in these urban communities, you'll move into a spot and think, this is a 10-year spot. Bro, affordable housing is for you to get to a space and then realize I want more and then move out. You know, it's almost like the projects. The idea of the word project is to stay there until you get yourself on your feet. You can't be getting on your feet for 15 years because that means you're just laying down at that point. You know what I mean?
You're accepting your comfortable level.
And also, too, I'm going to let you get it right now, but what my problem is, like you said, that thing you brought up about busing kids to whatever, like when you talk about affordable housing or taking people in the urban community and giving them opportunities that other people have. Why not fix what you have as opposed to taking you from your element and then going to a better school or a better, quote unquote, better neighborhood? Why not just fix your neighborhood? You can fix your road. Don't take me to the school that got a better school.
Yeah.
Hire better teachers here at this school.
Because you know why? You can't, it's hard to do that because you don't know the proper steps in order to do that. You don't have the bright teaching base, family base, to even accomplish that. Because a lot of times when you're taking these kids from wherever they're from, parents are not in tune to what's going on in these schools.
I mean, we could get some before we switch gears.
No. We good. We good.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. So you want to finish that up or you good?
Yeah, but like I was saying, parent base, like if you go to these different communities and even if you open up a store, right? Perfect example, the pizzeria that's in your neighborhood. The Chinese restaurant that's in our neighborhood. We got like 4 or 5.
Every block.
Every block, right? How many of them contribute to the schools?
None.
Your kids go there every day. You play basketball, we play whatever sport you want to play, football, whatever. You go to the pizzeria, you do local pizzeria. Do they contribute to any of these activities?
No, they don't buy no uniforms.
No,
they don't
nothing.
do nothing.
So when you go to these other communities,
30 years since they did that.
You know what I mean? There's a process. You cannot be served. you cannot serve the community without giving back to the community.
There's no lack of resources.
You
at
understand? So these communities hold people to these stores and whatever the case may be to a different standard than
Hence
it
the
would.
reason why people probably move out to these better neighborhoods,
And
because
that's
then
why.
they do that.
That's
all.
why.
But also at the same time,
what this sounds like, excuse me, what it sounds like gentrification. It has this dirty connotation that it's one culture taking over another culture, but not in our communities, especially the ones that we grew up in. The culture in it of itself was not productive. It had very little advancements within itself. Being the cleanest street is the only awards that are given. Like every
The
now and
safest
again.
block party you can go to.
Like,
that
it's
might get
just-
shot up at the block party.
But there's it's not that we don't want a Whole Foods. Let's say it's a Jamaican Jerk Plaza, right? Let's just whatever we like.
Food them.
Let's just, we want the
All
huge
food
plaza.
them.
What are we gonna ever do to? If it's gonna be someone else's money, it will always be their direction.
Well, I don't think it's about the money too. I think it's about. You're right. I'm not taking that away from you. I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about the mentality.
Yeah.
Because at some point you got to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Because
it
at some
seems
point,
like it's a
like for
culture
example, my dad used to
eating
always say
another
this,
culture.
right? My dad, he's just a neat freak when it comes to certain stuff. So he'll walk out in front of my crib. Like when I used to live in the apartment, he'd be like picking up the shit from outside of the crib and putting stuff away and doing whatever. So that mentality stuck with me so much. Even now I got a house, I still do it. Even though you're gonna do it because it's your house.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with that. I'm just trained in my mind when I still walk in Bed-Stuy. If I walk to whoever's crib that I'm cool with, or I still go chill on the block, I might be like, got honey bun wrapper, I'll pick it up,
Throw it in
throw it in the garbage because that's in my mind. But if everybody did that, then we wouldn't have to worry about waiting for opposite side of the street parking and street cleaning every week. That's fake. With a guy sweep the dirt. Next topic we got on hand, Stewy Mcfly, Back to the Future.
He always fly.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll be trying.
This
I'll be trying.
this topic will probably touch everybody in a different way. Do you feel bad about the actions towards the opposite sex? I'm gonna throw this to you first, Stu. How you feel about this?
No, Trevor.
No, Trevor.
No, Trevor.
No, Trevor.
You know why? Because to be honest with you, if you look
Past
back,
and present.
in the past, no, because everything I did in the past, even when I was wrong, I was right. And
Stay tuned.
I'm just saying, listen, even when I was wrong, I was right. Because if you think about it, our
That
history.
math ain't math. You gotta put that down to me.
Listen,
1 + 7.
listen.
Oh, don't worry. He about to woo you right now. Watch this.
Even when we was I'm gonna say me because I'm not gonna put
You
incriminating.
can say we not past the
All
past.
right. All right. Even when we was doing,
No.
even when we was doing things we wasn't supposed to do with the opposite sex, right?
Uh-huh.
We may have situations.
Never
and
did
stuff
nothing I
like
wasn't
that.
supposed to do.
He was the ringleader. I ain't even gonna blow you up, but you know what? We ain't even gonna go there because you was the main source for a lot of stuff that happened. But anyway,
Riding with my twin.
yeah, you know what I mean. But like, pretty much what I was saying is this: like, I wouldn't take nothing back because the things that I did then and I learned then are things that's gonna help me now than where I am as a man. And I feel like a lot of times the men, as you get older, in this day and age, they don't have the necessary tools and wisdom when it comes to the opposite sex because you were so much sitting there just being like, all right, I'm
Give me
gonna
an
be
example really quick of what you feel something that you did to the opposite sex that made you that you'll say I'm not regretful for.
No, I'm saying like I cheated. You know what I mean?
In your past,
In
like-
my past, I was a playboy. I'm not regretful. Like I took that as a lesson. Those are the things I
What was the
learned
lesson out of you cheating?
out of me cheating because you see what the females allow you to do and what they'll put up with, and not only what they put up with, what they were also doing as well. It's not just because I say I was cheating, that don't mean that they wasn't cheating.
Okay, I see
You
what you're
understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
It was females, and we bring it to retrospect, right? Females like the guy that females like. If you wasn't the guy, females wouldn't like you.
They like the bad boy.
They like the bad
They
boy.
like
They
what
like
they
the
like.
mixy guy. They like the guy that's out there. Everybody's well dressed. This so-called quote unquote, that guy, the it guy. That's what we was brought up to be.
Yeah.
So now when you brought up to be that way, that's the only way you felt like, all right, I could get to where I needed to go. Plus, you had to have game back in the day. That's another thing in itself.
All right, real quick. I thought to Biga, how do you feel about your past actions towards the opposite sex? You feel like it was
Me
justified?
personally, or us as a crew? Because I'm proud of us.
You can talk about us.
I'm proud of us.
Can I say one thing? It was maybe 1.5 females I feel sorry for that I did something to
Say
them.
sorry to her.
Yeah.
I apologize.
You know.
The half one, you can maybe take the half apology, but it was one female that I felt. You know,
You could have handled
I'm
things
sorry.
differently.
I could have handled it a little bit differently.
What you got,
but
B?
Nah, I'm just proud of us. Like when we talk about summers were fun. We had a lot of fun. And it's not our lack of success that we don't have stories blowing back on us. It's the fact that I walked them to the train. No one felt violated. No one, the way we handle things with other women, like I'm proud that I could still call people from 15, 20 years ago and be like, hey, what's up? And they go, oh man, how your life been? It's a good interaction.
But I'll say this, as far as you, and I'll say this about you too, I feel like the both of y'all, out of the four of us, have been a little bit more stable and less reckless when it came to women.
You hear that?
No, it's true. It's true.
That's reckless.
That's reckless. I
Yeah.
would say that.
Reckless.
So I would see why you wouldn't feel too like you've done anything really egregious to anybody, because I mean, our whole life you've been pretty much like get flowers. You've been that guy.
Yeah.
I give that to you. I ain't become that till never. But
Man, flowers, what?
no, I'm just saying he the dude that like you said, he'll walk a girl to the train station even though it worked in all of our benefit.
I wasn't soft. He was soft. I'm not soft.
You have light skin tendencies.
Just ask the question.
Yes.
Just ask
Same
the
thing. All right,
question.
Mike, how you feel about your past endeavors?
Ooh, in full. Are there some regrettable experiences? I would definitely say, but I'm thinking that I'm leaning more towards what Stu was saying, that I've learned from all of those things. So if I was to take back everything that I did regret, then I'd be still with the first person that I ever said I love you to at some point.
Yeah.
Because you would want to take back every transgression or everything or every feeling that made somebody else feel malcontent in their situation. With that said, overall regret as a person, no, I don't think I feel regret in terms of the way I've treated women. I mean, I've definitely fell out with more than a few, but that's learning curve. That's what you do in terms of relationships. They either work or they don't work, and you move on, and you try and take what you learned from your last relationship and move on. But I don't feel like I owe anybody any apologies. I don't feel like I owe anybody anything beyond the time that we spent. But with that said, I'm definitely conscious of all of those
Situations.
3rd and 10s that I didn't get a first down on that I'm taking into the next situation. So whatever I messed up before, hopefully I'm learning from that and moving on.
Okay, yeah. I feel like I thought that I really was, when I said a group, I meant us as a group, and I really feel like because you answered personally and you answered personally, now I feel like I was deflecting. I'm proud of myself too. Right. Like the way I handle things, like I don't want to make it. There's been times when not only am I walking you to the train, but there's been times when I've been throwing rocks at your window when I may or should not have been there, right?
That's called stalking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say,
And you broke the window.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
You and your own.
I'm just saying.
Broke the window.
So
Even in those moments, I don't feel like there's an overwhelming like my actions towards women. Like I don't have this huge list of like things that I truly do regret.
Let me ask you this. Can anybody call you a savage?
Oh yeah.
Can anybody call you a savage?
Dirty, moody, ratchet.
I'm going to say no.
Facts.
Savage, you're savage. Somebody
called
you a savage.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you the difference. Right. So, I mean, I know all you guys say you won't. I do feel when it comes to the opposite sex, I probably owe a lot more apologies than not, because when you hear yourself back from somebody, like if you meet somebody from your past and you hear back, it's like,
like I let you down in that way.
Some of it is cringe.
But that's no different than standing out there with the coin. I'm telling you.
But you know,
it's just so.
Let me.
Go ahead. I got something for that one. Go ahead.
And I'll tell you what, I won't use the word regret, because regret got me to the stone cold Steve Austin I am right now, right? So I like crash the beer and drink the joint. But I will say, if I could look back and treated people slightly different or had a little bit more trust in people, or with the knowledge I have now, I would have applied it then. Because some of the relationships I had back then probably would have been a lot more healthier if I just wasn't one tracked. My mind was one tracked of taking care of me. I wasn't concerned about honestly how the fuck you feel. I didn't care. Like,
See,
you know what I mean?
You falling for the man right now.
Should
Go
you
ahead.
at
I don't know
20
why
years
you're
old?
apologizing for
No,
that.
no,
though.
no. But
Yeah,
I'm
18, I don't.
But I'm apologizing to myself because sometimes I feel like realistically, I've created unhealthy habits too. Because, you know, in those arguments you have with your shorty now, your wife, whatever, now I can't turn that off.
Are you saying you got away with shit in your past, so now
What you mean
it's
you can't
created
turn it
bad
off?
I created
habits
that
now?
person now. You can't turn that off. You argue with me now, my petty go deep.
Oh, yeah.
My petty be weeks,
I'm
bro.
an all-star. Yeah, yeah.
I'm on the Hall of Fame of petty.
Letterman jacket. P. Capital P.
But you know why you able to be on the level of petty?
Because I was super duper wacky back in the day.
We were. But at the end of the day, you know why you was able to do it? Because you know how petty females are. And for you to sit here.
Justifiable
It
petty.
was justifiable petty. Because you can sit here and say, yo, look.
She had me outside throwing pennies out a window, man.
I
rocks.
was you was starting.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
doing
Why
yeah,
do
that.
you keep trying to blame me for that?
Because
broke the window.
Where you get pennies
I'm just
from?
saying.
Yeah, who
Where
had
you get
pennies? Was you the person to find the penny, pick it up, throw it out her window, and break her shit? That
She
don't
had
rhyme.
me throwing small boulders.
Yeah.
But like I gotta say this, right? At the end of the day, so when females tell you about your old self, right, and it give you a reflection of how you were, you gotta think where it's coming from. It's coming from a place
Yeah.
of them wanting to make you feel a certain way about your transgressions,
Yeah.
not them taking an accountability for the transgressions that happen.
I've been in a lot of relationships where me and your relationships overlapped like long time ago. Nah, we were just savages. I'm not gonna make an excuse for it.
I think I wasn't a savage, man.
No,
It's a fact
I mean-
he was a savage.
I was not a savage.
You were Macho Man Randy Savage.
But hold on. Isn't that
brother. You was showing up on the pussy.
But did
Excuse my
anybody show up
Sorry.
that
Got the
didn't
first
want
one.
the savage?
What'd you say?
How am I supposed to like
You
feel-
wasn't a savage.
No, I'm just saying in general about
You was
all
a
of
very nice guy.
about all of our actions.
With braids. And
We
not
met
braids.
the expectations of the people that was in front of us. It's not like we were at those times.
That's
people-
a level of manipulation. That's what I'm talking about.
What do you mean? Okay, so listen, this is what I'm saying. The way I'm explaining it is when you showed up, you gave me a short text, I gave you a short text, you was acting funny, I was acting funny, this escalated, that escalated, I told you I had to go to work, you cheated on me. Nigga, it was so yeah, you may say you regret the moment that you cheated on her, but it was matched
I'm not
at
even
the
talking
same
about
place.
cheating. So to be
When
fair,
you say
regrettable
you
actions.
apologize for those actions, it feel like it was out of place, as if you acted some
It
way
was.
to
We was in-
someone
it was.
that didn't deserve what was being given.
no,
with
no.
intent.
You can't see, this is the thing. You can't retrospect and say in that situation what they did made you do whatever.
No.
No. What I'm saying is,
But you didn't do it to somebody else.
No, what the problem
who you
is-
did it to is who was asking
it was
for.
consistent savagery. What are you talking about? We talking about Hot Boy Summers the whole. We was 32 hotties the whole time.
Everybody
And guess
got
who
it.
showed up? So why you regret any of those interactions?
You using the word regret. I'm saying that if you could,
You apologizing
If
for
we
it.
going back to tell me the actions that I feel bad on, you hear how you sound. Honestly speaking, I wouldn't want my son to be that person. I would want him to not be. I would not him to be a sucker in love, but at the same time, I would not want him to be the type of person. I don't want him to experience what I
You
experienced.
also don't want. Listen, you don't want him to make bad fashion choices either, but that has nothing to do
But
with
they
your
don't stop you.
decisions.
They don't stop you. Not that Miss
I'm just
Yellow
saying.
Mellow Jacket.
I'll go get it. Don't play with me. We'll do my whole segment in that jacket. Don't play with me.
They won't stop the aluminum foil from shining out. You cannot get turn left.
Go ahead. You
No,
started
but-
something.
But what I'm saying is there ever a time when you felt like cheated, I know I'm used to being this kind of person, but that was wrong.
No, what I'm saying to you is I've created so much of a person that I can't turn it off.
What I'm saying is this. So
It don't turn off. That petty is never coming. I've had all personal individual conversations with everybody on this panel right here, right? I've had conversations with you. It goes different because I know that your heart is in a different place, that I know that you're going to bend, right? At some point, you're going to bend. I've had conversations with you. He's a good person. His heart's going to bend. I had conversations. He's not going to bend. He's not going to bend. The habits that have come along with him and me, the bending is not coming. There's no bending.
but why do
It's
you
break.
feel
It's break and I'm out.
But why is that a problem?
Because at this point in your life, you shouldn't be the relationships that you develop now. I don't know if they deserve.
I guess he's trying to say, pretty much saying these relationships that you're developing at your later years.
That's because what you're saying is that she don't deserve it.
Not saying she don't.
Maybe not, because
there should be no more temporary people in your life. You
That's
shouldn't
what
be
he's
meeting
saying.
anybody that you're not going to know 2 years from now.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
back then it was everybody we know for 2 seconds and you out.
Yeah.
But you're creating that emotion
But you're
with
saying
somebody.
that this level of petty is something that can't be
No,
that
so
can't
look,
be stopped.
Let me
as
ask you this on the back end. Do you feel like you've disappointed somebody's daughter that you didn't intend to disappoint at some time in your life?
Yeah. For me, yes.
not in that
I'm asking
context,
him.
not in that way.
So only because in the past we fostered relationships that we only intended to have for maybe a month, maybe 2, maybe even a
For the
day,
moment. Just say for
maybe
the
for 2
moment.
hours.
Just
You
for the
wanted
moment.
to create something,
Right.
But at the same time, that person expected more from you. So did you disappoint anybody in your past with intention?
No, even in those cases, those people were
They
looking
knew?
for. Those people were looking for a false sense of security.
You said that. Yeah, nobody ever volunteered that.
And I provided
ain't no
a
female
false
ever
sense of
volunteered
security
that.
at the time
And
that they
that's
were
the-
looking
no,
for.
but that's the difference. And that's what I'm saying. And that's
Those people.
yeah,
You people.
those people. You gentrified
They were
those.
looking for a
You
false sense
gentrified
of
those women
security, and I handed it to
You
them.
gentrified those women unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Using the word. You gentrified.
We went
Back
to
to
all these
segment
restaurants.
one. Yeah.
We went to a restaurant. We went to a
Bust 'em in.
movie. We did all that, and it's like, and then he ghosted me.
No, you know
That's
what?
right on par with what they were looking for.
I
They
don't
weren't looking
think
for
so.
marriage. They weren't looking for all this stuff. They may have dreamed of it, but the truth is, as soon as the ghosting happened,
That's a lot
guess
of
who
gray
was right
area,
there?
bro. You
That's a
can't
lot-
say I went on a date and never talked to you again versus I went on a date and she didn't expect marriage. She expected a little bit more between marriage and that.
Yeah.
If you went on a date, she ain't want to just
She wasn't
give it up
hungry.
and never
But
speak to you again.
But you gotta think too. Like, there's a lot of females that just go out on dates just to get free food and saying
Yeah.
this is where I'm
yeah,
at.
but they won't get free food this week and next week.
Yes,
But
what
I'm
I'm
saying, but at the
I
end of-
understand the sentiment.
But what I'm saying
I
is
don't
the-
think most of them
the
like that.
behavior that
What?
the behavior that you cultivate is what I'm saying is who I was. If we're talking in retrospect, if you talk about who I was, I'm not ashamed of who I was. I accepted that person.
I love that person.
I love that person. I
But
made
you
that
said
person-
it like it scarred you to this point
It
where
did.
can't.
It did scar me. It scarred me to the point where the point where sometimes having a healthy relationship with friends or like even a female is easily turned off. I could turn off from whoever. If you tell me whatever, I'd be like, don't call me then, bro.
Yeah,
like,
I
and there's
can do
times where I have people who I'm really close with or whatever, and I'm like, he said what?
Yeah, everybody could die
I ain't
tomorrow.
calling him back. But I think that's the hard shell that we created back then when it was directed towards the females, I guess to say, but it just filtered on into
everything else.
Now
To
you
you,
just
that's who
now
you
you
are.
just now you just
That's
this
your
this
wall.
shell that you didn't give yourself a chance to actually love people.
I feel like you
But see, but then that's another thing in itself. Like, for you to sit there and say that we didn't give people a chance to, did we get the proper love when we was growing up? And
Yeah,
that's
I was
another-
exactly who
No, because
showed
we was
up.
but the problem was we was getting advice from each other. So that's
But see, that's the-
where the problem lies.
But see,
Who
and-
led us wrong?
But see, this is what I'm
Marshall
saying.
Mathers.
Who led us wrong?
But see, that's another.
DMX.
You know what I mean? Like, if you listen to whatever's going on around you and whoever these so-called older figures that were around us at that time, they was telling you to get the girls. So if you
yeah, not all of them.
who wasn't?
No, I'm just saying.
Who wasn't? Tell me who wasn't.
But everybody wasn't doing that.
But tell me who wasn't though. Tell me who wasn't telling you, yo, go
Because
get
they
the,
wasn't expecting it. When you tell people,
Carlton
when you
Banks.
tell your young boy, if you tell your young boy, yo, you got to be out here, you got to meet these chicks, you're not thinking they're gonna do what we did.
But listen, it's not a fact. But,
But
like,
we
you-
did it clean.
y'all-
That's
we-
the part that I said I was proud of. I don't know how we get into like regret. I don't regret nada.
You keep using that word. I'm
Yeah,
not.
we ain't
I'm
gotta,
looking. I'm,
don't
I'm,
force that one in there.
Yeah, you're just making the word. I'm not making it about regret. What I'm saying
It's
is
more so what advice would you have for your younger self
Yes,
kind of thing.
if
Well,
I'm-
that's a different story.
if I'm looking back on me then, and I'm saying there's like regrettable actions, not regrettable. If there's things about me that I wish I could change, is that I created such of a hard shell that I probably didn't let a lot of relationships develop back then, and now it has turned me into somebody who's completely petty.
But that now goes back to you having the right people around you to show you how to develop these right relationships. If we don't have men in
You
our
petty,
lives, I'm I don't care. I
This
don't
is
care.
love. This is love gentrification.
Listen, I'm gonna let listen.
Before we spank this topic,
We
let me
come
talk-
back to it.
Yeah,
Come
we come
back.
back to this. We spank this one. All right, inside, outside the box. Friends with an ex. Is it appropriate to be friends with an ex when you're in a new relationship?
Unless it's me, yeah, I don't care. If it's me,
I'll
yeah.
answer this way. For me personally, again, this goes hand in hand with the last topic for me. I think I've created so much of a hard shell that it doesn't bother me when maybe my conscious mind should be thinking like that, but I don't care about a female being in a relationship with a female and she's friends with a male or an ex. That doesn't bother me. I find that
That's
non-threatening.
Two different ends of that spectrum right there.
Because
though.
you gotta remember, this nigga, you know, he used to have your girl upside down, you know, doing the back tootsie. You know what I mean? Now you talking about, hey, we could be friends, you know? The
Yeah.
last thing you want to have, like, remember we was at band camp and I had you was on the, you know.
But that's almost inciting that goes hand in hand with trust. Then how much do you trust your girl?
It's
You
not
think-
even
it's
about
not- it's
trust.
trust,
You don't
not
have to
even
trust
trust.
one party. If the other party's intentions are always to spank your girl again, it doesn't matter what action she takes. If this person is always going to be trying to step on your damn feet
Anyway.
or does not respect your relationship, it doesn't matter what kind of action she takes. It's disrespect, homie. Like, you could curse.
How would you know? How would you know he's not respecting your relationship?
You won't know,
Because as a
unless-
man, I know I've never wanted to be friends with one of my exes just because we're very friendly.
No. Okay. Oh, so you're in a relationship with a girl, right? Y'all together for 10 years, whatever, right? We're almost 40 now. So let's say you're from your 20s to your 30s. You with a girl, one girl for 10 years. She's integrated with your family. She's integrated with your friends. We all know her on first name basis. Now you break up with that relationship. It just amicably, you guys break up. You're in a new relationship.
We're not friends.
We're not friends.
We're
No.
not friends because we broke up.
It's what are we friends for?
That's what I'm saying. It's-
You integrate. What was the whole
What do
purpose?
friends?
Of,
But
This is
that's
what I
the
would ask
difference.
myself. What do friends do? They hang out and they chill. Mostly,
yeah.
they invite each other over. Would I be inviting my ex over if me and my girl was throwing a party? No.
But my thing is,
Why?
socially, why not? Why can't that be a thing?
She wouldn't be comfortable with that.
'Cause you
I
got-
wouldn't be comfortable
Because you
with
got a
that.
guy
Why?
like me. That's why. That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust. I would never advocate for it.
Listen, I know how guys think. We could play the dummy role. Or we could play.
I wouldn't
the active
advocate
role.
for it, but I don't care.
And then the difference is we could be on it, pouncing, trying to pounce on it, or we could just sit back and just play. You know,
So let me ask you. So in the length of
wait
the
around.
relationship, what is a good time to say it's not a good time to be friends? If you start dating and you've hit a new relationship,
it depends on how serious you want to be with that person. I that's what it really boils down to.
I think that, but at the same time, I think you have to actually see how serious that relationship is in itself. You could be 100% in on somebody who don't give a shit about you, and you could be changing all your ways up for somebody who, again, is not going to do the same for you.
right? So if you dump that same girl if you dump that friendship that you had with 10 years for this new girl for 2 months, what kind of friend are you?
Again, but
It's
that's
not a
why
friend,
you're putting.
It's just showing respect. It's not dumping.
How is it disrespectful?
How
No,
are you
I'm saying
friends
you're
with somebody
showing
that
respect to
if
your
you
new
were with
relationship.
somebody for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
right, and y'all decide this is over.
It's not working. Not in a negative way. Just like Mike.
But these are very special circumstances. Most of the time we break up is fuck you bitch and you get the hell out and it's cursing, it's all kind of shit. And most
Not
of us
with me,
ain't
not-
friends.
not with me,
Maybe
not with
months
me.
later, generally you can be like, hey, how you doing? And then you could kind of ease back into it. But most breakups ain't like that. Where you're gonna be like, yo, you know what? Take your shit and move out, but we still gonna be friends. You wanna go to lunch tomorrow? That's not happening.
But in the event that happens.
But that's why you said you put a time frame on it, and you should, again, I think you should gauge exactly how serious you're jumping into this next relationship. If that person is serious about this relationship, or if y'all just cooling. If y'all just cooling, fine, don't worry about what I do back here. But if we about to move in together and we're gonna live together and somebody gonna be calling my phone while you sitting right next to me,
You gotta set those boundaries.
that's different.
So can you do it with boundaries?
But you can't say that's my friend calling.
But you don't think that that's
Nah.
micromanaging your
Yeah,
wife's relationship?
You know
and it's
what?
like a
You
distrust.
cool
You
with-
think
you
her
cool with her
vagina's just gonna
ex-man?
jump out her pants?
Are you cool with her ex-man calling her phone at 1
But you
a.m. while you
gotta-
laying
That's
next
a
to her?
boundary. That'll be a boundary.
Yeah, but that's what
it
we
don't have
say.
to be an X-Man. It could be her co-worker.
Yeah,
What
but
do
that's
you
a
have to talk
boundary
about at
you
1
set.
o'clock?
Again, you still trust her 100%, but you're still setting your boundaries because that's what you're comfortable with. I don't want this nigga calling while
But
you
that's
laying
the
next
part
to me.
that
That's
is
my friend.
exactly what the problem with. Would you say the scars? All that back then made me feel like there's no thing in her relationship, whoever she is, that there's nothing that I need to stop. yield. She will be who she is, and then I will pick up where that may be. If that means a text on Tuesday, or if that means a trip to Bermuda, whatever, that doesn't matter. The point is who she is in a relationship with me. It can't be contingent on me setting her up in a way to where she doesn't make me feel uncomfortable.
I want to say one more thing on that topic, and it is very much aligned to what you said. Even though people are they're gonna be exactly who they are in situations, a lot of times you don't want to put them in a situation to find out who they are. What I mean is, What I mean is, we could walk through the hood wearing jeans and a t-shirt. We fine. We walk through the hood wearing jeans, a t-shirt, and 7 big ass diamond chains. We not fine. The hood is still the hood, but again, you're creating circumstances that make you less safe in that circumstance. So if you allow this nigga to call at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, when you go out of town on work, even though she's gonna be who she is, now that she's comfortable with what you've allowed, she might allow a little bit more. So you don't create a circumstance where you're gonna allow somebody to just be who they
Isn't
are.
that making like somebody property though at that point?
That's
you
exactly
in
where
a
I was going.
relationship. I'm not saying I own that person,
Hold on.
but both
But
of y'all have intentions together.
Let me just ask this one question. Do you really think that you can list a set of rules that will protect her from that kind of thing?
Rule?
No. You said
This is the rule. It's the question.
Okay, just that one rule?
No exes. That's it. That's the rule.
Like,
I mean, that's the question at least.
Yeah.
But the older you get,
Can you be friends?
No,
Okay.
but realistically, so all right, so that's what I'm saying. Realistically, being older, people gonna have more partners, more sexual partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody hit it already. So they could have had one interaction
I hit it first.
right? Marcus Houston gonna be out there sucking each other. No, but there's gonna be a situation where it is. And what if they just did it and it didn't work out like that? Now
It's got to be. It's got to be a relationship defined. So if you was
But if
dating
they
this
had
man,
sex before?
and I'm saying, yeah, I mean, most of the time with an ex, you're gonna have sex.
No,
It
I'm
ain't
just saying, but what if it's not an ex, just somebody she smashed? What if it's a homeboy they smashed one time and it's like,
No, because then now we've created a whole different paradigm. Now you just hanging out with niggas that you fuck. No.
But this,
That's what I'm saying. Let me say this.
you
Define
got
a
it.
relationship. So if you was with somebody for 20 years and they raised your son for 18 of them, I'm not gonna say the nigga can't call. He might be calling to talk to your son. He might be calling to ask about your son. That's different. If you dated this nigga for 6 months and he played in the NBA or whatever the situation was, and we just chill for a little bit. Now he's still your friend. Why?
Let me ask you, the only fear in that situation is that he gonna fuck your girl, right?
Pretty much, yeah. That's
So
the
if you
situation
eliminate-
with any ex.
But if you eliminate the fucking part of it, then what you're afraid of? That's
How
an
did you
insecurity.
eliminate something
But
they
how
already
you
did?
can't eliminate another
How you
person.
That means you
eliminate
never could
something they
eliminate it.
did.
Because my
You
thing
can
is,
never-
what-
you
what's the
can't.
transparency? Because if she never say it could be the Todd at work, and she just fucking the shit out of Todd at this
No,
point.
no,
But
let me
listen,
say
but
this.
you
If
can't-
she's sitting
see-
next to Todd and she's sitting next to Steve and she never fucked Steve, I feel more comfortable with Steve coming to my house than Todd that fucked her 30 times.
But putting that limitation on her doesn't change the fact
not
that
And then it's like
limitation.
almost calling her like a whore. Like you can't trust the fact that she gonna pop the pussy.
Again, it's not her.
But you
If this nigga's intentions is to not be your friend,
your
why
friend
am I
already?
going to sit there and
So
act
then
like
you-
he's
But
your
let me
friend?
say this.
you took ownership even one more level apart. You went from she's my girl, so she should not cheat on me, to I don't trust him to influence her. So how many variables
I'm agreeing
away
with him here.
can you
Which
step?
is strange. This is
No,
a
no,
strange
no,
moment
it's
in
not
time.
strange. What I'm saying
I'm
is,
agreeing with Big Guy.
what I'm saying, all right, listen, let me say, in terms of strangeness, at one point in time, and it might have been the very last time, she had such sexual attraction to this person that she gave everything she had that she's given to you, she gave to this man, right? And now she's giving all of those things to you as a man. I'm not saying that she's gonna go back and sleep with him. I'm saying, what is his purpose in still hanging on to this friend? Meaning,
Because I
how
just
many
explained
times
to you-
have you called up an ex and be like, yo, you know what? I just want to hang out with you.
Because I just explained that.
No.
Also, the word of girlfriend and boyfriend is friend. Sometimes people are just your friend. Sometimes people could just legitimately, that person could be the person who say the right words in the right time to calm you down. Or sometimes you just want to talk
A
about.
friend is not somebody you had sex with. Don't say it.
So you
Nah.
can't.
Yes, it is.
It's your girlfriend. My boyfriend. We call him. Yeah.
No.
Let me ask you this.
We
Wait a
can't do
minute.
that.
With that being said, when have you ever made a friend other than sexual?
No, I'm saying a
Female.
boyfriend or a girlfriend is a relationship. You can't be like,
No,
that's
no.
my girlfriend and that's my girlfriend and that's my girlfriend. I
But
fucked
you
all
don't
three of them.
you don't have any female friends that you haven't had sex with.
Yes, I do.
You have just purebred female friends?
Yeah, and they don't look the part of anybody I would ever have sex with. Yeah. No, I'm saying, and that's how you would know exactly. Like, oh, all right, yeah, she's cool. They went to school together. They went to class.
Why would that bring her safety?
What do you mean?
It would bring her a lot of safety
because that's not somebody that I took down 40 times.
Let me hear you, Stu. I want to hear what you guys say about this.
I'm going to say this, right?
I think you might go on the same trip.
If a girl is unattractive, right, and she's your friend, that gives your mate a sense of security because she's like, all right, I look a certain way. I don't believe he would do that.
Let me interject now.
Hold on. Come on, listen. I'm just saying that's.
You never fucked an unattractive girl?
Listen. Can you let me get my finish? I'm not talking about me.
I just want to get that out.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about her.
Yeah,
because you got to think about it. Females are more. They move on an emotional basis, a comfortability basis. You understand? That's why when you sit there and you allow your female to have conversations with another dude, that for them gets them too comfortable and be in certain realms that they shouldn't be in.
So you don't trust her?
I don't trust nobody. If you're a female, I don't trust you.
I'll take that stance.
So there's no trust in your relationships. I'm not talking about. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
But that's not in mine either. But that's for a totally different reason. There's absolutely no trust in my relationship, any relationship that I ever deal with, because I don't believe that just because her past, everybody has a past. And everybody has a future. And in the future, I can't predict or even be able to control anything that happens that way.
And I think this too. You could also look at your girl, right? And I mean, all of us have them. You could look at your girl, and I don't know if you guys ever seen your girl's exes, right? And you're like, you fucked him? So how you won't see it coming? You won't see it coming.
See,
you never see me coming.
That's the problem.
If it's the same nigga you recognize, you will see it come like, yo, you fucked him.
That's not how it works.
Now he back around.
That's not how it works.
That is how it works.
That's what he's saying.
But this
We're saying
I know,
with the exes.
but I'm saying it doesn't work like that.
But what he's saying is cheating in general. There is no control of that. You cannot stop that.
It's not like this. It's not like this. Your shorty, if you look at your shorty right now, you look at your shorty, her last man, you don't pull him up on social media and be like, yo, he look just like me. And you can pull up her last 3 exes. 1, 2, and 3 probably don't look nothing alike. And that goes for everybody around here. Yeah. You be like, you dated a big flat African dude. And then another time there's another time you may be like, oh, you dated a Hispanic whatever. So it's like, it's erratic. So at the end of the day what I'm saying is you have to trust people no matter to be them. If you with a shorty and you saying we in a committed relationship, then we in a committed relationship. Because I'm friends with a female and I'm agreeing to be in a sexual relationship with this female, I don't care if I had sex with that person before. If I'm in a relationship with this person right now, then I'm not interested in doing that.
So let me.
That's you.
I'm gonna play the devil's advocate, but I'm gonna take men and female out of this. Let's say you got somebody who is a complete alcoholic. They drank alcohol for 5 years. Now they clean for 5 months, right? You're not gonna be like, yo, come out with me to the bar every week. I know you don't drink, right? So I can trust you.
But now you call it an addiction. Now you're
No, I'm saying this is something you used to like in your past.
No, that's an addiction. You call the alcoholism is totally different than having mutual sex.
What do you want to use? You want to use something that's like, we want to use cheese crackers? It doesn't make a difference. What I'm saying is I'm taking the men and women out and I'm putting the situation together.
Let's use this. Can you stop a girl from going to particular restaurants because their nutrition facts is too big and I need to protect you from the time that you used to be fat?
No, now you're jumping out the box all the way.
Those are all addictions. You're creating.
No, I'm not talking about an addiction.
If you are having sex with somebody, you have an addiction.
I'm talking about a
if you're having
behavior
sex with somebody for years, you have an addiction.
No.
Yes, you do. You're committed to this person every single day, sleeping with this person. In a relationship, you have boundaries. You have confines that you set and say, listen, I'm going to sleep with you. You're going to sleep with me. We're going to live under the same roof. Don't fuck nobody else. That is a contract. That's a construct. And you have. So
why do you feel the need to regulate that? You've already said don't fuck nobody else.
Again, I'm not regulating that and saying that you can't do anything. You're talking about, is it comfortable for you? No, it shouldn't be comfortable for you. If somebody that used to do that same thing that you're doing is coming around every day, why are you here?
All right, question real quick.
Why are you here?
So we get off this topic, we got to get to the next.
Why is the dope fiend coming around every day talking about he don't do dope no more?
These are addictions again, but listen.
You hoping somebody give you free dope so you could do dope again. Just like you're hoping that you can get that one day to Netflix and chill.
I'm going to run down the line real quick, get these 2 things out here, not long, just give me quick answers on this. Should you lie about being friends with your ex or be transparent?
you should lie about everything.
Stu, what you got?
Well,
What you got, Stu?
I say you should be transparent.
What do you think,
know
Mike?
what I mean?
Absolutely transparent. I think
All right.
lying creates an opportunity for you to have to create more lies and remember those lies, and that shit's hard.
All right, is it a relationship breaker?
What?
Being friends with an ex, like is it a like?
No.
No.
I'm not gonna say it's a relationship breaker, but if I find out about it, then you got to break that tie. You have to break that tie.
If she refuses,
If she refuses, then it's a relationship breaker because you
So it's a
obviously lied to
relationship
me. Yeah, truth is a relationship breaker. It ain't even necessarily that fact. If you lying about something, that's a relationship breaker.
okay, fair enough. Last topic of the day:
Bam, bam, bam.
cream pie filling. This is not what you guys think. This is not about food.
Grandma, you can turn it off now.
Yeah, that's it. We got the good stuff
Is
out.
this the most perverse of all non-marital acts?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
You want to define
when
it?
I officially posed this as an idea, I had in mind that it was about the play on death, which I don't like. But I found a way better way to explain it. Our culture, our society has been riddled with a bunch of issues. And a lot of our issues come from playing this game where we leave it in, where we shoot the club up, we lay in it, we don't feel the need to go back outside because it's cold. Who's going to go get condoms? It's the third time tonight. You'll be all right somehow. And we play this game, and then we wonder why we're in the predicament that we are. I don't believe that leaving it in there, finishing inside, shooting up the club, cream pies, is a good idea at all. And with all of our modern technology, where sex could happen at a swipe, and we separated everything from what used to be traditional. Tradition used to say we would meet somebody, court somebody, have sex with
Gotta
the
take my glasses
intent
off on
of
this one.
marriage. We're going towards marriage. But we've reduced all that to the act of sex, yet still leave the leaving of a legacy inside of a woman simply for the sake of doing so. Finish elsewhere. You don't have to leave that in there. That is a totally separate thing from the act of sex, and I think that it should be as removed as emotions
What
when
you
it
guys
comes
do?
to
Real
sex.
quick, can you define cream pie? Because I think I'm a little lost now.
I'm
I thought
trying-
I knew what it meant.
That's why I said I had to take
Shooting
my
the
glasses.
club
I had to take my
leaving
glasses
it
off.
in there.
He just
Is
said
that what it
he said the
Cream
educated
pies.
words to,
I thought it was something different then.
No, cream pies, leaving it in there,
that's why you don't
shooting
click
the
on it when you
club
go to
up.
porn site.
Yeah, don't click on that. Do not click on this
Don't
topic
click on that.
subject.
Yeah.
Nah, but
the big
from
booties.
what I'm getting from you, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's something that, as if you ain't ready for that outcome, you shouldn't do it. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I think we should definitely always protect yourself at all costs, and not just the man, the woman too. Because I think a lot of times what happens is females be like, "Oh, you didn't do that." No, you're an adult too. And you have to take responsibility in whatever goes on in that situation. But like you said, it's not something I advise anybody to do, especially if that's not something you really ready to do for the rest of your life. Because it's a strong possibility.
But when I first
something can
posed
happen.
it, when I first posed it, it was to change my mind. Is there anybody that believes that I should change my mind on that? You think leaving it in is the shit?
No.
No.
So again,
It feels good. Don't get it twisted. It feels good.
I don't know, man.
It doesn't feel good.
let me answer you real quick. Let me answer.
There's nothing. The worst feeling in the world is post-sex worry. So
No,
it-
so
No,
it-
I'm
let
not
me answer the
saying-
question. Let me answer the question.
You can't-
Post-sex worry is the
Yeah,
worst feeling of all
right,
time.
but what I'm saying is, if you want to do that, you gotta be responsible. You gotta have a responsible mate, and you yourself have to be responsible.
What do you mean?
So I was answering the question as it was posed. Is it the most perverse of all non-marital acts?
Oh,
and
okay.
originally,
Yes.
when you posed that word, or at least my connotation of that word in terms of cream pie, if we're gonna be literal, I didn't know that's what it meant. I honestly thought it meant pulling out and
Shooting up.
and shooting up the
Oh.
face. Honestly, that's what I thought. That's what that was.
I like
but
that.
even still, I'm going
Can
to
we research that? I want that.
even still, I'm going to
That's
answer
acceptable.
I'm going to answer the question in terms of perverseness. Do I think that is the most perverse of non-marital acts? I don't. Only because when you engage in sexual activity, the expected outcome is for there to be exchange of bodily
Fluids, yeah.
right? And the climax should be bodily fluid. But I think if there's an unexpectation of bodily fluid, i.e. pee or a Biggie skit, I think that shit is way more perverse than
I
doing
caught that
something
shit.
that
I caught
creates
that
children. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing that, excrement or R. Kelly and anything,
Scat.
that is very perverse because one is unexpected.
Yeah.
Two is not normal.
Unsanitary.
It's not
very
normal.
unsanitary.
And three, that shit is outright gross. I'm gonna take that stance and say that shit is outright gross. So
But
in
those
terms
have-
of perverseness, I think those are
Okay.
more perverse than leaving it in.
Perverse has,
Irresponsible. It's definitely most irresponsible.
Irresponsible, yeah.
no,
But perverse.
But
that's-
perverse. If
perverse
I
means
look,
disgusting.
if without trying to like boys are like going to go look it up. Perverse has something to do with like against the consequences. Like you're doing something against the consequences, and there's no greater consequence than a STD that you have to raise.
You redefining perverse though. I think perverse means just like
Okay, we can do that.
sacrilegious. Like
Hey,
But even
Our
that,
viewers,
just
please give us in the
a second
comments
while we
look it up
Google.
real quick. Look up
give us
perverse.
the definition for perverse. We would
Don't
greatly
have this
appreciate
dictionary. Let me look it up real quick.
Hold on, let me tell you this.
What's your answer on that? While I look up perverse.
I think this is a personal preference. I don't even know if it's really a topic for me. Like,
That's what we want to hear.
No, I'm just saying. I really feel like it's like a relationship personal preference because I've met people over the course of years, or as I got older, you hear people be like, "Oh, my husband got to get a vasectomy," or "My
No,
wife
but
got to get."
the question is non-marital. So again, this is kind of
Oh, my
a stranger.
boyfriend- Okay, or like. So I'm answering. My husband or my wife, they're like, "Oh, he has to get a vasectomy, or I got to get my tubes tied," because that's what they do. I'm like, these people didn't wait till they got married to do this. People were doing this. People
Right.
are just going in there and doing this. When you get older, I think you learn more, not to be more explicit, you learn that a lot more people fuck on periods, a lot more people fucking squeeze off in people, a lot more people do these things. So it's only perverse when you start having the conversation out loud and you don't know what goes on, and none of us knows what goes on in each other's bedroom. But if you really had a real conversation, people be like, yeah, I nut in my shorty every time. A lot of people do that.
Of course they do.
Right, so-
I'm not.
so that's why I said-
I'm intentionally being groundbreaking.
No.
I'm anti cream pie.
Let
Now,
me
I
read
know
it
that
real
I'm up
quick.
against a wall.
Let me read the definition for y'all real quick. Perverse is defined of a person or their actions showing a deliberate and obstinate desire to behave in a way that is unreasonable or unacceptable, often in spite of consequences, also contrary to the accepted or expected standard or practice. Perverse. So that means you're doing something that's just completely avant-garde, some shit that's unexpected, out of the norm, potentially
No.
off-putting.
Against the consequence. There is no consequences if I poop on you.
No, that's after the comma. So it just means you're doing something
I'm
completely
just saying.
unexpected.
If that's what what
Perverse
y'all want to
means
do, that's not a
unexpected.
problem.
Perverse
I don't
means
have a problem
unexpected
with
and
two
gross.
adults making decisions.
But I think-
I have a problem with because the consequence of that is okay. I got pink eye, or I don't feel well.
You might get shot. Nigga, that might be a consequence.
Yeah,
Nigga,
but
I'm
you-
like,
What I'm
oh, I
saying
got
is,
pink eye.
the consequences of that is way different than college.
But the wild thing about that is
That's a way different. That's a way different consequence.
first of all, you gotta know a lot of
Depend
people.
on your
I
doctor.
don't know, like I'm talking about way back in the day. You gotta think about even when you had a condom on, most girls didn't want you to pull out when you were coming, right?
Yeah,
That's a mentality.
it is.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying this
I've been in.
conversation.
I've got in there a lot of times when I'm asked as I'm in there. Of course I do. Of course I took care of
Right.
that
So
part
that's
of it
why I said
already,
this-
because doing so would be perverse.
No. It'll be. If you go in a club with your gun, it's a chance you might bump into somebody and start shooting. So you may shoot the club up.
No,
That's
there's
why
no
I said-
excuse for that.
Maybe an ex.
Maybe an exes club.
You see what? Let me shut up.
There's no excuse for it. Is what I'm trying to say. There's
100%
no.
there is. That's, a lot of people do it. It's a thing.
No. But
trapping
okay,
mechanism.
okay. But
Yeah.
hold on.
It's
What
a
I'm saying
legitimate
is,
thing.
Some dudes are suckers.
but for our lifetime, it's been okay to do that simply because the process in which we got there was always fixated on, even if this is something that's not really important, it seems to be important.
When was it okay?
It's important. I'm
Nah,
lost.
I'm gonna
I'm
stop
talking
you.
about
I'm
your
gonna
side piece, or maybe it was just a fling.
Let me tell you something like this.
That's
The
dangerous.
problem I'm gonna say to you right here is I think this generation has done a better job at that conversation that you're saying. Our parents was nasty.
Yeah.
Right? My mom had 7 kids and she was out here popping that thing clearly because she had different baby dads and everything. So at the same time, no, being honest, I'm saying I'm not mad at her for doing it. And like that's what they were
Because he
doing.
here, right?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Shout out to you, mom. You know what I'm saying? But at the
Keep
same
the
time,
lack of reaction elsewhere.
the contraceptives idea wasn't a thing. So it was a thing.
I know, but it's new.
In this generation now, everybody's content with like. I don't think you see as many bad dads or like whatever. So people are doing it with dealing with the consequences. People are not doing it and like I don't want to be that kid's daddy. People like look at Nick Cannon. He like I got about 11 of them things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, people roll the dice for real. Back in the day, people roll the dice to disappear on you. People roll the dice and be like, I ain't bust that. No, it could have been anybody.
So how many of these consequences that we have to be?
You call it a consequence? I think people are dealing with a circumstance. People like we fucking.
What do you mean? That's not a consequence.
Perverse. Outside of the word consequence, do you still think it is the most perverse?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
it-
it's
all right, let me-
it's actually the absolute root of all of our problems.
Let me redefine the question. Is it the most gross?
Nah, gross is that's arguable. We could talk about the gross. Gross is variable depending on who you are.
Is it the most socially unacceptable?
What, cream pies?
No,
No, it's totally acceptable. No. I agree that it is up
I'm still
there.
in shock about people sleeping with people on their periods. I meet more people who do
Oh, I
that
heard
shit.
you when you said it.
yeah, you said that shit loud.
It's a thing though. Listen, we say because I'm freaked out. I don't want you to touch me before or after your period. But my thing is, I be talking to people like, yo, just get the towels.
Yeah, there is some females that
Females, it be dudes like, what red light, bro? My shit's on go. Bro, the period is a time for them not to get pregnant. Wah, wah, wah.
Nah, they wild
hell
on
of a
that
myth.
one. Yeah.
Listen, the older you get, the more you'll find out that people do a lot more things that when we were younger, because I guess we grew up in the stage where we used to get the free condoms and everybody used to go, remember we used to have a bag of them joints.
They still free.
You don't hand me that bag right there.
Nah,
The green ones.
pass me my pants. You know what I'm saying? Right? Get the free condoms.
New
You know
York
what I'm
City
saying?
subway condoms.
Yeah, you know, save up your summer money, yummy money, so you can get you a couple
Yeah.
50-cent joints. And for us, it's an irresponsible conversation. But we adults now. You start talking to a lot of people who didn't care nothing about that 75 cent, that 50 cent. I don't know what they are now, but whatever they cost now, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got a totally different
I
reason.
think, I say this. So right now, I got 2 kids already. So cream pie is a new go.
Yeah, that's out
I don't
the
want
window.
I don't want my cream next to nobody pie.
So why not?
Who, me?
Why not?
Oh,
Because you already
they cost
got
money.
kids.
Because it's consequences.
No, it's not
It's
consequences.
huge consequences.
I don't
It's
call them
choices before consequences. You know what you're doing before you do it. You ain't just
Yeah.
jumping in some shit and be like, oh,
Wait,
something happened.
I'm glad that we're on this page because so you do know that you're doing it, right?
Choices.
Okay. So then why do we have to tie those two things together?
It's the same way the
Why is that a
territorial guys.
common choice?
It's the same reason the 2 territorial guys say they girl can't talk to their ex because this is my shit,
I
and
didn't
if
say
I
she
want to
couldn't.
bust in it, I'm busting in it.
I'm saying I don't see the reason for it.
See, I don't see the reason why I can't come in her.
I didn't say that.
That's what you said.
That's not what I said.
Same
That's not what I
language.
said.
Same language. It's mine.
Nah.
No,
what I
but
said.
for me personally, if you want to do that, if that's
See,
your feet,
no.
no, listen, I'm gonna say this: if you want to do
Choices.
that, there's ways for you to be able to do that. You understand? Without the
safely.
consequences that may arise.
There's a plan.
There's a plan.
There's a plan.
Don't go.
I've
Hey,
heard
don't go.
about
Hey, don't
one
go.
of
Don't
those.
go. Hey, don't go. Hey, don't be.
There's things that females could take in.
But that was the other thing that I was trying to avoid because it
No,
played a
like-
little
like I
bit
said-
dark. But yeah, absolutely, there
There's things
are
that
other ways.
there's things females
Like
could
birth
take.
controls and stuff like that.
But you know what
Saying.
comes with that?
Yeah.
Convincing her.
She could do whatever the fuck she want to do
I hear you.
without that happening, even becoming that person.
Nah, just be a man and take full responsibility for it.
choice.
Yeah,
Just be the
man.
man that she needs you to be and take full responsibility for where that stuff goes and just take it
I
with
think
you.
I think a lot of men
Just
are
tie
being
it up in the bag, take it with you. Don't give it to her to make decisions with. Just don't.
No, I understand. I respect that 100%.
I don't think it.
But you gotta understand.
I'm
You
good
gotta
on this topic.
understand a lot of.
I mean, we done.
Yeah,
we
but
done.
I'm saying
we
You finished or you done?
you also gotta understand
All three.
Oh, yeah.
that
Like I said, I didn't want to go the other dark route because
You know
we
what
don't
I
have
mean?
to go the dark route.
They-
I'm just
not
saying,
That's a
like,
consequence,
I'm not
though.
saying going the dark route. I'm
That's
just
a
saying,
consequence.
You know what?
even
I'ma save-
before,
I'ma
leading
save-
up to
I'ma
those
save
things,
us
there's
from
ways
us,
to go
right?
about handling them. That's all I'm saying.
join us next week.
Yeah. I'm gonna say about some months. That's a wrap. Good shit. Good shit on the first one. You know what I'm saying? See
Yeah.
how-
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how
yeah,
next one, too.
yeah,
See
yeah.
how next one. See how next one.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?